Hey everyone, I've talked fairly at length in my channel about upgraded cables and upgraded headphone cables, and you can see my prior videos on that. But in this video I wanted to talk about how an upgraded headphone cable may not necessarily be better than the stock cable. I recently had an experience where I definitely experienced that. I got a upgraded headphone cable for my hi-fi Aria headphones, which you see right here. Now this cable that you're looking at is the stock cable. But I got a nice, expensive upgrade cable for the Arias, and it was almost like a disaster. I had to immediately send them back. I'm not going to name the name of those cables just because I don't want to throw any manufacturer under the bus or anything like that. But I will say that it was a very well-respected maker of cables, and it's the woven kind of cable, with multiple cables that are braided together. It was a pure copper cable, and it was a cable that was over $400. So it's interesting that it was kind of a disaster, but basically what happened was I installed them onto the headphones and immediately noticed that the upgraded cable that I had purchased had a lot of microphonics. And for those who may not know what microphonics is, that's like when you put on the headphones and you tap or move the headphones around, you can hear that vibration in the ear cups. And a lot of headphone cables actually transmit that more than certain other headphone cables. So that was the first thing I noticed about the upgraded headphone cable I got. There was a lot of microphonics, and as I moved it around and tapped it around, or if I just moved my head back and forth like that, or anything like that, I would hear tons of vibration noise, and that's called microphonics. So that was the first negative. The second negative is the cables were extremely heavy, and that really comes into play when you've got a nice pair of headphones like this that are already very light and ergonomic. When you wear them, you hardly feel that they're on. So you really notice a heavier cable that's full of a lot of metal, like a lot of copper or silver or whatever, weighing down the headphones. So the more comfortable and lighter the headphones are to wear, when you put a heavier headphone cable on it, the more noticeable that's going to be. So that was the other thing that I noticed when I was wearing them with the upgraded headphone cable. The headphones seemed heavier and not quite as comfortable as they would normally be with the stock cable, as you see here. And then the other thing is the cables were pretty thick as well, so they just felt a little unwieldy and stuff, and just kind of like you're weighed down, kind of overall. They just kind of added to the overall weight of the overall whole headphone system. So it was another thing I didn't like at all. And then the other thing was that I didn't really notice in these particular headphone cables that I got for the Arias, I didn't really notice much difference in terms of the audio quality at all. Maybe no difference. So those were all the sort of negatives, aside from the extremely high price of them, that led me to return those upgraded headphone cables and just go back to the stock cable. And in doing my research, I came to realize that the hi-fi Aria stock cable is actually an OCC copper cable, and OCC means it's like a crystallized copper cable, which is technically a more expensive kind of copper inside the stock cable. And so in this instance, the hi-fi Aria cable is really a good cable actually. Prior hi-fi headphones, and I've talked about this in the past, but prior hi-fi headphones had a really weird kind of outer sheathing on the cable that was very rubbery, but that's not the case now with the hi-fi Aria cable. This is a nice cloth sheathed cable. And really my only complaint with this cable, it's a little bit short. I think it's only 1.8 or 2 meters or something. So when you're using it at home, it's slightly short, if you want to plug it into a headphone amp and then sit back on the couch or something. The stock hi-fi Aria cable can tend to be a little bit short, but if you want to sit all the way across the room or something, you can always just get a 1/4 inch to 1/4 inch headphone extension cable, and I've actually talked about some of those in the past as well in my channel. So that's not too big a deal. So it was really kind of interesting for me to get in that very expensive upgrade cable for the headphones, and then actually smile when I went back to the stock cable, just because it's lighter, just because it's so much better in all the respects that I've mentioned. When you put these on with the stock cable, you hardly even feel that they're there. It's just lighter. It's a very comfortable cable. It has very little, if no, microphonics at all. Well, maybe a tiny bit. If I tap this, I can hear it a little bit, but not nearly as much as that other, higher end cable. And it's just a darn good cable. The fact that it's pure copper, it's OCC copper, according to Hi-Fi Man, makes this cable just a really good cable and no reason to replace it at all. So that was interesting with the Hi-Fi Man Arias. Now let me talk about my AudioQuest Night Owl cables, where I did get quote-unquote upgrade cable for, and I do like that cable. Now on the other side of the coin, let's talk about the AudioQuest Night Owl carbons. In this case, I did replace the stock cable, and the cable that I replaced it with is really a much better cable than the stock cable. Those of you who are familiar with the AudioQuest Night Owl carbon headphones know that the stock cable is a very thick kind of cable. It doesn't really bend very much, and when you're wearing them, it's just not very comfortable. It's not flexible at all. I had no problems with the way that it sounded or anything, but the cable on it was just a little bit too stiff and also not quite long enough for my liking. So I actually got a quote-unquote upgrade cable for the AudioQuest Night Owl carbons, and this is kind of a no-name brand. I got it on Amazon for under like $20. It's by a company called New Fantasia, and I'll try to post a link to them. But this is a much longer cable because I wanted a longer cable. I believe this is a 10-foot cable. They also make a shorter one as well, but I wanted a longer one. And also I wanted something that was a little bit more flexible. And as you can see here, this is more like the Huffman Aria cable in that it's quite flexible and it's cloth sheathed, and it's the length that I wanted. And it's got a nice connector with the sort of strand spring here, protector. And surprisingly, I'm really happy with this cable. It was only like under $20. So, it's a lot more ergonomic. It actually makes the headphones a little bit more comfortable because of the fact that it's more flexible when I'm wearing them, and you can kind of just move around more comfortably. And in terms of sound quality, I didn't notice any degradation at all in sound quality with these cables on the AudioQuest Night Owl carbons at all over the stock cable. So I was pleasantly surprised with this cable. So this is a situation where swapping the cable out really did make a difference and was actually beneficial. So you really kind of have to take it on a case-by-case basis. And also, I would say that ergonomics play a big part in whether or not to swap out the stock headphone cable. Certainly, if you get a pair of headphones and you just hate the cable, that's one good reason to look for upgrading the cable or getting an upgraded cable, for the headphones. Ergonomics, build quality, length are very important in terms of considering whether or not to change the stock headphone cable. And then of course sound quality plays into that too. And if you're going to get a upgraded headphone cable, get it from a place where you have a good return policy and you can get your money back if it doesn't work out for you, or if you don't notice any sound quality differences or anything like that, or there's negatives with it, because you do want to be able to return it if possible. So when considering headphone cables stock versus getting an upgraded one, there are really a lot of factors to consider: ergonomics, length, looks, and of course sound as well. It's not a given that across the board just buying a upgraded headphone cable is going to be the best bet in all cases. Although granted, in many cases, for many headphones out there, getting an upgraded headphone cable can definitely improve the sound quality of the headphones. But again, as you've seen in this video, that's not the only thing that we need to pay attention to. So thanks for watching this video, and questions, comments, please feel free to leave them. I will be hanging out in the comments field. Please feel free to give this video a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe and hit that bell button. That way you can be notified of any new videos. And also check the links in the description field. I have a new Facebook group. It's called the Photo Tristan Crew, where you can interact with other viewers and subscribers and just talk about my videos or any kind of topics that I cover in my videos. So go ahead and join that Facebook group. It's a private group, so all your Facebook friends aren't going to see what you post in there and stuff like that, and it's just brand new. So I would love to see you in there. See you in my next video.